Hi, this is Alan Cowgill, and I just wanted to prep you on what you're getting ready to see. This is a live event that I did. It is incredible. In fact, I had two of my employees said it was the best training they had ever seen me give, and they watched it all the way through. Runs about a little over an hour. Stay to the end so you don't miss out on anything.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Hey, I'm here for one purpose and one purpose only, and that's to get more money in your bank account. Can I get an amen on that? Yeah, many people here because they got a burning desire to take their real estate business next level, maybe quit that job and make big chunks of money. What I'm going to show you is where to get that money, how you get all the money you need to buy apartment complexes, single-family homes, commercial property, regardless of your credit or financial situation. I know many people here need funding for their deals. Other folks might be going out and using their own money on their deals. I'm going to show you a better way. I'm going to show you who should use private lenders. How many beginners do I have? Let me see a show of hands. Wow, when it comes to running this business, the hardest hurdle you got to get over is how to get the money, yes or yes. And then if you're an intermediate real estate investor, you can do a handful of deals and the lending institutions will shut you off. How do I know that one? Been there, done that one. And then if you're an experienced real estate investor, like I said, maybe you're using your own money deals, there's a lot better use for your money. What I'm going to train you on today is the best, the easiest, the cheapest, and the safest way to fund your deals. Isn't that what you're all looking for anyhow? That's bottom line, right? A little bit about myself. I appreciate Zach's wonderful introduction. Just so you get to know me a little bit better, I was out in the corporate world many, many years ago, and I was broke. Even though I was successful in corporate America, I was living in a little dinky two-bedroom apartment. I was struggling paying my bills, and kind of let you know what I was living through at the time. I had this old beat-up car that I needed to put some money into, but I put that on the back burner because I was too busy paying my other bills, and one night on a first date, that car paid me back. You know it's going to be an ugly story right from the start, right? Pulled up in front of this apartment complex to drop this lady off after our very first date and hopped out of the car to walk her to the door. Halfway up to the door, I turned around and looked, and my car had burst into flames. Some of you guys in the back of the room are thinking hot date, aren't you? You know, more like first and last date. You know how embarrassing it was standing there holding a car, watching a fireman put my car out? Here's a successful middle manager, can't even afford to get his car fixed. Every morning when she woke up, to remember that date was a burnt chard mark in a parking lot. First and last date. And let me tell you, what an impression I made on her. Yeah. You know, I wanted to change my life, but I didn't know what to do. I looked into franchises, but they take money, don't they? Yeah, I couldn't do that. Didn't have any money. Yeah, lots of it. I couldn't do that. I did decide to invest, though. I took my whole federal tax return and plunked it down on Ohio lottery tickets. Not the sharpest tool in the shed. I lost on every ticket. You know, I was frustrated with my financial situation. I wanted to change my life. One night I couldn't sleep because I was worried about paying my bills. I got up and I started to channel surf, and I hit one of those real estate infomercials. Got my attention that night. I didn't have the money to buy the home study system because I spent my money that day on lottery tickets. But they take a credit card. At 2 o'clock in the morning, I picked up the phone. I ordered that home study system. That year, I bought my first 2 properties. The next year, 5. The following year, 18. Since that point in time, I've done hundreds of real estate deals. Half the deals I do are without monthly payments. Can you imagine having $1 million loaned to you and you don't have to worry about monthly payments? Would it be okay if I teach you that today? Huh? How many folks like to do deals and not even have to worry about payments? Yeah? We're going to do that. I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. You know, when I look back at my life, I had all those humorous failures going on. That's not the way we want to end our life. We want to have phenomenal successes, you know. And I learned early on that it's all about choices. You made a choice to be here. And you're investing in your most important asset, which is your education, yes? Yes. And as we go through this training, you got 3 choices. Choice number 1 on private money is to do nothing. What do you get when you do nothing? Nothing, right? Choice number 2 is to hear this thing about private money and go out and do it your way. Now, I'm telling you, that could be the most painful way to go, okay? Or take some notes, embrace what I'm teaching you today, and use my techniques to go out and amass private money. Does that work for you? Yes. All right. A little bit more about myself. This is my daughter, Brittany. Brittany, a real happy kid. She got her master's degree here a couple years ago. She got a new job. She's a professor now at a college. She got a husband and a house and a dog. So she's smiling a lot right now. Okay. This is my boy Mark. He does not care about college. Didn't care about college. But he was one of these band kids in high school, and kind of convinced him to go to school if nothing more to get into band. And I'll be darned if the school that he joined didn't march in the Rose Bowl parade the very first year when he was a freshman. That's a picture of my boy marching the Rose Bowl parade, and Dad got to go watch him. So that's pretty cool, isn't it? He's still working on college, and we're all rooting for him. Right now, it looks like this quarter is the last quarter he'll make it. So, this is my daughter, Wendy. She had a great year, got her PhD. Got to call her doctor now. And she also got a new job. She is a director of a major university now. And this is her husband, John. He owns his own business. And this is their son, my grandson, JC. And as you can see, I'm training him to be a successful real estate investor. Isn't that what we want to do? Sit on the patio and eat ice cream, right? Great kid. Let's talk about where I came from. I started out up here with banks at the very top, and they were friendly to real estate investors. The one I worked with most would let the seller carry back a second mortgage, and it worked well until the regulators came in and looked at the bank's books and shut that bank off from doing those type of loans, which means it shut off my funding. So then I went over and I got a line of credit. The problem with the line of credit, when you max it up and use all that money, you shut your own business down, don't you? So I had to go do something else. Then I went over and I found these guys called hard money lenders. And they're expensive, aren't they? They're very expensive. And I got creative financing up here. And the thing about creative financing, that's what you're in this room to learn, right? That's what you're in this room to do. Go out of here and do. The thing about creative financing is you can negotiate a great deal. But sometimes the seller, though, will want cash, want walking money. And you need fix-up money, and you don't have it. And that stops you cold in your tracks because you can't do the deal. How about after meeting me today, you have the money to go fund those deals so you don't get stopped anytime? Does that work for you? Yep. And what I'm teaching is a lot cheaper than the hard money lender. In fact, I think you ought to be the hard money lender. Let's talk about what most of you do. In fact, when I teach, I take surveys sometimes, and I find out that 85% of the room is doing this. They're going to banks. So I have to assume that 85% of this room is doing this, is going to banks. So let's take a stark look at reality at what you're doing with your business if you're doing this. Number one is you can lose some of the best deals because somebody comes along and buys it out from underneath you. Yes or yes? Yes. Yeah? And you got to have money down. Mine wanted 20% down. That's a showstopper for some of you right there. Yes. They charge points and loan fees, and granted, they aren't high, but they're still eroding your profit base. They won't finance some unusual deals. I'm going to show you some of mine today that they would not have touched, that I made tens of thousands of dollars on, all because I had the power of private money. It made all the difference. They like monthly payments. I told you half of my deals are without monthly payments. And by the time I'm done with you today, if you so desire, 100% of your deals could be without monthly payments. Isn't that incredible? You're going to love this. You're going to love this. They take time. I wanted to buy a duplex. And credit's okay, place appraised okay. The bank took 4.5 months to make up their mind. I could have lost the deal. You got no relationship with the bank because you think you do, because you got somebody's name in their business card. And I'm here to tell you, you got air. You got nothing. Because they can quit, retire, get promoted, and start all over again. Or they'll change the rules like they did on me. You are disqualified from borrowing when you have too many properties. Now, what's wrong with that picture? Why'd every one of you show up? And how do I know that one? I had 4 properties, and they stopped me. Not because of anything I did. They changed their bank's internal rules. Imagine that. If your income doesn't satisfy the bank, you aren't going to get a loan. If your credit doesn't satisfy the bank, you aren't going to loan. But the biggest economy of all is so many of us, myself included, we get into real estate to get out of our JOB. Yes? I'll bet. I got a lot of beginners in here. I'll bet that's where you're at. Yes, that's where your head's at. Listen to this, because this is so important to you. The day you quit your job is the day the bank will quit you. How do I know that one? That's how I learn all this stuff. I live it. You want to quit your job and run your real estate business, but the day you quit your job, the bank quits you, your business plan is built on sand. Right? Because you got to be able to fund it after you quit. How about if I teach you today to where your business plan be built on a rock solid foundation where it doesn't matter how many properties you got, doesn't matter what your income is, doesn't matter what your credit is, doesn't matter whether you got a JOB or not, you could still run this business. Isn't that your vision? Isn't that what you're looking for? That's the power of private money. Let's talk about getting a loan from banks. Let's take all this paperwork and you take it into the bank and you leave it there and then you go back home and you wait and you wait and you wait. Finally the phone rings and they lost a piece of paper. Happens all the time. For you beginners, you don't know that, you will be amazed if you're fooling around with the bank after today. You'll find that it happens quite a lot. Let's say you finally get the loan. You buy, fix, and sell the property using the bank's money. Now you want to get a second loan from the bank for another property. What do you do with the bank and their paperwork? Same thing. You got to do it all over again, don't you? You want to see a better way? Here's my way. I borrow money from a private individual called a private lender. They're not a business. They're just a person that's got some money to loan. I borrow the money from them. I use the money to buy, fix the property, and then I sell that property. And the private lender will get all their principal and accrued interest back, and they'll call me up. And they'll say, hey, I got my money back. I didn't want my money back. I wanted you to keep my money. How do I get my money back to you so I can keep getting a nice rate of return? You see, the day you sell the property using private lenders' funds, they are begging you to take the money. You can use that money over and over and over and over. Because every time you sell the property, you create your next loan that you can use on your next deal. Is that a win-win? That's awesome, isn't it? Who's using hard money lenders? Always got a few. Yep. Let's talk about that. I have. I felt like I was getting squeezed dry. Mine wanted 15% down. Let's do a math thing on that number. Let's say you borrow $100,000. 15% is how much? $15,000. That'll stop some of you right there, yes? Yeah? And then they got to get paid. They get paid via points. Mine charged me 5 points. Same example, $100,000. 5 points is how much? Coming out of your side of the HUD 1. Taking money out of your side. Now, I remember looking back where I had a HUD 1 where I had $5,100 coming out of the HUD 1 when I did business with a hard money lender. Today, now listen to this. This is very important for you for your success. Today, if I do business with a private lender, not a hard money lender, a private lender, only $875 coming out compared to the $5,100 because it's an all-cash deal. Everybody got it? And you got to cough up your own cash renovations. The day you walk out of closing with a hard money lender, you got to key in a deed, but you got to dig into your pocket to start the demolition work on the property. You build it up to a certain level. You call up the hard money lender. They send in an appraiser that you pay for. And if you did what you said, they give you some more money. They give you what's called a draw. You might have 1, 2, or 3 draws on this deal, depending on how you set it up. Let me tell you my world with private lenders. When I walk out of closing with a private lender's fund, I got a key in a deed, and I got a fistful of cash. How many folks like to walk out with a fistful of cash when you buy? When you buy. Would that work for you? I got all my money for the rest of the deal done. And then down here in the bottom, on the left there, that's the most dangerous one on the list, but you ignore it. You ignore it. What it says is that they put you on a balloon. Mine was 12 months. They put you on a balloon payment. If you beginners don't know that, that means at that point, you got to come up with all the money for the deal that you owe, everything. So what happens is if you go out and they've got a 12-month balloon on there and you put all your sweat and effort into this deal and you don't get it sold or refinanced, which is what you got to do to get their money, get them paid, who could own this thing in month 13, 14? They could. and you lose the deal. And you lose the deal and more. What's the bottom of this slide say? It's not the same as a private lender. Not the same as a private lender. So what's a private lender look like? Well, the first one looked a lot like my mother. Because it was. That's my mom up there. What happened to Mom was she committed some money when Dad passed away. Mom had committed some money, and she did what most folks would do. She took it and plunked it down on a bank certificate of deposit, because that's the only thing she knew how to do. She was so proud of herself because she hadn't been taking care of the financing in the company, or in the business. Dad had been doing all that. And so she was so proud of herself she could figure that out. In fact, she'd study the rates in the area. She'd drive 45 minutes just to get a few pennies more on a CD. She'd find the highest rates in the area. And I was coming up through my real estate education. I heard this thing about hard money lenders and private lenders, and I thought they were the same. And they aren't. They're distinctly different. Hard money lenders the reason they're called hard is because they set hard rules, okay? Expensive rules for us, okay? So they're hard money lenders. With a private lender, I got to set 100% of my financing rules. Everybody hear that? You can't do that with banks, hard money lenders, 100% of my finance. So I went back to Mom and I said, look, you're getting this paltry little rate of return on a bank CD. I'll pay you 3, 4, 5 times what you're getting on a bank CD. I'll pay you simple interest. I'll pay you monthly. I'll give you a mortgage, a promissory note, hazard insurance, a lender title insurance, and Mom jumped for joy. And she started to loan me money. And then what happened was I finally quit my job. I wanted to be a full-time real estate investor. The company had a layoff, and I was the first one in the door, volunteering to take the package, the sweetened package, so I could quit my job and become a full-time real estate investor. The only problem of it is my timing was a little bit off. There was a downturn in the rental market. I had to evict some folks, and I ran into a negative $10,000 a month cash flow problem. That's ugly. That's ugly. And banks wouldn't touch me. Remember, I said I was doing my business with banks up to that point, and banks wouldn't touch me. Well, I was stuck. I had to do something. I had to do it quick. And I thought back, I didn't know which quite way to move, but I realized that this private lending had a lot of potential. I had Mom and I had one other gentleman. His name was Ed. I'd only had 2 private lenders at that juncture. And I realized that the answer was to move ahead with this. And so there wasn't a roadmap. There wasn't anybody out there to tell me how to do it. Do you think the how is kind of important? How to attract private lenders? Well, I had to figure it out for myself. So what I did was I could have gone around and talked to people one-on-one, like Mom and like Ed, and get money. But I realized that I had to move fast because of that negative $10,000 cash flow problem. So what I did was I decided to do a group meeting. And in that, show them a PowerPoint presentation. I was highly skilled in corporate America doing PowerPoint presentations. I even went to Europe to give a presentation once. And so I had a lot of skill with that. So I put together a PowerPoint presentation, and I called this meeting. And I got to tell you, the morning I walked in, I didn't know if I was going to be in an echo chamber all alone or if there'd be 50 folks in a room. And actually what happened was 18 potential private lenders showed up. And I got up in front of them, and I told them about my real estate business. I told them about my dreams and my aspirations. I showed them the slide presentation. I'd created 37 slides. And then I just flat out asked them to loan me money, and it worked. I didn't know it was going to work. It worked. So I did it again the next month. I had 12 folks show up. I did the whole thing all over again, told them about my real estate education, showed them the PowerPoint slides, asked them for money. It worked again. A couple months later, I took a pad and a pen, and I added up, and I had $1 million to go buy property. I was on my way. You see, I found the roadmap, and that's exactly what I'm going to teach you. I'm known as the guy that's cracked the code on finding private money. You can do the same by just learning a few simple things that I've done. Deals you can use private money on? Well, you can use it on apartment complexes. You can buy the whole apartment complex, or you can do it just for the down payment and the rehab. Commercial property. 40% of my students are commercial, doing big deals, strip malls, 40-unit apartment complexes, office buildings, and all that. So I got a ton of people. You can use the money for the down payment, or you can amass enough to do the whole deal. And single-family homes, which is what I do. Here's my kind of deals. I do subject to deals, where you bring payments current, and minor repairs. Ugly houses, where I buy, fix, hold, or buy, fix, sell. Now let me do something here on this ugly house thing, because I imagine many of you are thinking about going into that. If you're going to do a buy, fix, sell, it's simple interest higher. You might want to write this down. Simple interest higher, okay? If you're going to hold the property for long term, more than a year, then you should amortize and pay a low interest rate. Everybody got it? Something like 4%, something like that. Wholesale. How many folks in here are going to be doing wholesale? Probably a lot of you, yeah? Let's talk about that for a second. Here's what happens to you. Just so everybody's on the same page. Wholesale deal, we put money down, and we got a contract date, and the money down is to hold the property so we can get it wholesaled, and then what we're going to do is pick up some money in the middle when somebody comes along to buy the whole deal. We make some money in the middle. Here's what happens. If you come up against that date and you don't have that thing sold, you can lose the deal, yes? Yes. I have a safety net, and I think you should too. My safety net is private money. If I get close to that date, I just fund it with private money and wholesale it after the date. Does that make sense to you? Is that a win-win? Every single one of you just raised your hand need to have private money on that. And then short sales. Here's one of my short sales. This thing's on 5 acres. There's a pond out front, a stream and a pole barn in the back, and a barn. And this property in my area is a $200,000 property. I know from giving this talk enough, people say, well, Alan, in our area, that's a $450 or $650. Some people even be $1 million property. But I live in Springfield, Ohio, and a luxury home for me is when I get it, I don't need to put a toilet in it. So I'm not the lower end, okay? This property here, $200,000, nice property, $200,000, got a first and a second mortgage. First mortgage, $128,000. Now, for those of you who don't know, short sale means I want them to discount that $128,000. Everybody got it? Okay? They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. In fact, what they said was, we're going to keep pursuing the foreclosure unless you want to cure this thing, and that's $14,000. Cure means make up back payments and some legal stuff, late fees. That didn't make it a good deal at all. But it had a $44,000 second. Now, they're in trouble. They're scratching, they're clawing, they're trying to save whatever they can save out of this thing. And they know that if the first mortgage pushes this thing through, that they're going to get wiped off and they won't get a penny. Well, by the time I get done negotiating with them, they said for a measly $4,400, they'd wipe that $44,000 off the books. Pretty cool, huh? I knew in a nanosecond I had a deal. I needed some money, though. I needed $18,000. Where do you think I got it? Private money. I picked up the telephone. I called up a private lender. The private lender sent the money in. We cured the first. We wiped that second out. We put a new second on the property. And I walked away with $43,214 in 3 months. Pretty good deal. Can you see that private lenders give you the ability to move fast and do deals that banks wouldn't do? Banks wouldn't have touched that. How do you like the idea of buying a property at a discount? Isn't that what we do in here, right? I negotiated the discount in that property. Just imagine being the loan approval committee. Yeah. Imagine that. Just imagine that statement. You know, if you can structure your own financing and you got private lenders out there, aren't you the loan approval committee? There is nobody else stopping you. Wouldn't you rather run a business like that to where you got control? One of the biggest items that can cripple your business, whether you're a beginner or seasoned investor, is poor cash flow. And your biggest holding cost is that monthly mortgage payment, isn't it? And I promised you I'd show you how to get rid of that thing. I'm going to do that right now. This property that you see up here on the screen, a lady wants to sell it. I wanted to buy it. And it won't surprise you to tell you that she wanted all cash. Don't they always want cash, right? Well, I saw that she had a low-interest mortgage, and I wanted to leave that out there. And so what I did was I told her I'd give her some walking money if she'd leave that out there. I'd make payments on it. So she agreed, but her walking money was $39,000. Now, that would stop some of you in this room. But if you got private money, it's a phone call away. And so I called up a private lender, and I ordered up $50,000 for this deal. Private lender sent the money in. I gave the seller $39,000 in walking money, and I've got a key and a deed and a fistful of cash. I've got $11,000 in cash. How many folks like to have money the day you buy? Yeah? Write this down. Here's how you do it. Always borrow extra. That works, doesn't it? Always borrow extra, right? Write this down too. Don't over leverage. I don't want you to take every dime out of this thing, okay? Don't over leverage. So I got $11,000. That's pretty cool on the day you buy. Here's why I'm doing this. Listen to this. When you do a real estate deal, you got equity in the thing. You got profit in the thing. I take a small chunk of profit out on the front end in case I run into some problems. I leave the bigger chunk, where I said don't over leverage, I leave the bigger chunk out there in case you have to carry a second back when you sell it or there's another problem. You've always got a pad. Everybody with me? But I borrowed a little bit. In this case, I borrowed $11,000. And what I did was I used $3,000 on repairs and it left me $8,000. What can I do with that? Anything I want, right? It's extra money. Got to pay it back someday. Right here, it's extra money. So, what did I do with it? Wouldn't it make sense to make payments on that first mortgage? Takes all the sting out of doing these type of deals, right? Let me pull back the curtain and talk to you about my private lender. Let's get into that. Her name is Libby. She's one of my employees. And Libby had worked a job all of her life. And in that job, they had a 401k. She contributed to that. Company had some matching funds. This thing grew over the years. Libby retired and left the money in the 401k. Now, what I'm getting ready to teach you right now is the pot of gold of private money. This is when the floodwaters opened up for me when I figured this one out. If you know someone that has quit, retired, or gotten laid off, you ought to write that down. Quit, retired, or gotten laid off. Quit, retired, or gotten laid off. They can roll this money over into a self-directed IRA. That money in the IRA, they can invest that in a myriad of different investment vehicles, but what they can also do is, since she's retirement age, she can draw out of that. So she has money to live on every month, but the money that's in the IRA, she wants to earn a high rate of return, and that's where we come in, yes? Even though she can invest in it something else, we want her to invest it with us, right? Everybody got it? So, that's what Libby did. Now, I want you to make sure you know what the going rate on interest is in the United States right now, and I'm going to give that to you. But let me take you back in time. When I started doing business back in 1995, that's a long time, right? And I got my first private lender in 1997. The going rate was 15% interest. That's gigantic. That's huge in this economy. The economy is different. What happened, though, was over time, I started getting feedback from my private lenders that 15% was too good to be true, so I had to lower my interest rate to make them happy. Tough business, right? So I lowered what I did was I did a split rate. I did 10% and 12%. 10% if they wanted monthly payments like I had been paying up to that point, or 12% if they would let the money accrue and they'd get paid when I got paid. To my surprise, every one of these 401k IRA folks took the no payment. Every single one of them. Everybody hear that? Yes. So that's the gold for you, because you know right now that at least that half of your business, or that part, 50% of my lenders have IRA folks. Those folks automatically are going to pick that. Why? Because they don't need the money to live off of. They can pull the money out on a monthly basis to live off of. So they're trying to get the highest rate of return. Now the market shifted again. And I got some students paying 4, 4.5%, 5, 6% interest. The going rate's between 6 and 8. 6 and 8. And I think you ought to be in that sweet spot. Now, the beauty of what I teach is I paint a framework. I give you a template here, and you can go out of here and charge whatever you want. You can charge 12% if you want. The problem of it is the interest rate's low right now. What are you going to do when the interest rate goes up? Where are you going to go? You could get pinched someday, right? So it would make more sense just to stay within the framework. I got one student paying 1%. It's a family. It's a family. Lender's a family, and she will not take more than 1%. Why? because she had a bank CD and she's at 1%. 1% she's making 4 times her money. Isn't that crazy? Sold the place 3 months later. My profit was $45,900. How many folks use an extra $45,900? How much of my own money do I have in this deal? Bet that works for every one of you, doesn't it? Yes? How'd you like to go into a deal, have zero money into the deal, and 3 months later walk away and look in your bank account and have $45,900? Hey, you like the idea? And I have those monthly mortgage payments that I just taught you. Let me see a show of hands. How many folks going to do that? You like that? A little bit worried about a few of you folks right here. But imagine skyrocketing your cash flow by getting some of your profit when you buy. Remember I borrowed that $11,000? Big question is, how much of your own money do you need in a deal? None. Zippo. Once you learn how, whenever you need more money to buy a property, you just plug in the system and more money comes out. Let's take a look. I want to really solidify this on why people would give you money. I think this is so important that you get what I'm just getting ready to teach you. So let's do a math problem here. $100,000 at that 0026 is how much a year? Boy, that's exciting. Makes you want to puke. How about the stock market? This is what people are thinking. This is the people you know, and this is what they're thinking. Stock market? Speaking of outs, they're having fun this week, aren't they? For those of you that look at that. This is my favorite way in the years past. Let's see how that worked out for me. Let's talk about you. How about $100,000 at 8%? $8,000 a year. Now, if they got $100,000 at 0026%, they're getting $260 in a year. How many multiples of the $260 is it into the $8,000? It's gigantic, isn't it? How many more times? You know, many people are trying to double their money. This is huge. This is times over times over times, yes? The problem of it is they know about the CD stock markets, or like I did the lottery. They didn't know about how to invest with you in real estate for high rates of return. What I do is I teach folks how to attract and how to convert people into private lenders, and then how to keep them safe. And isn't that what you want? You want to know how to convert them, how to attract them? You got to open up the front end piece of that business, attract them, convert them. You see, private lenders be ready to write you a check for you to buy a property just by you picking up the phone. How many like the idea of having an army of people out there begging you to take their money? Yeah, you can clap to anything you want while I'm up here. I'm good. You buy a property for old cash, use somebody else's money, you got no monthly payments. Will banks let you do that? No, they're in it for the payments, aren't they? But private lenders will. Think of the power of that in your life. Think of the power of just having one deal, one lender, and you don't have to worry, you don't have to struggle, you don't have to be up at night worrying about making that mortgage payment on the first of the month. Everybody got it? In fact, speaking of that, I remind myself of something. I don't pay my lenders on the 1st. I pay my lenders on the 15th. Why is that? Well, I don't know how it is here and in your state, but back in Ohio, lenders pay, or tenants pay late. And they're geared to pay on the 1st, yes? If I'm paying my lender on the 15th, then I got a cushion, yes? To get the money in, so I don't have to take money out of my pocket to pay that, yes? Landlords, I got a cookie cutter. You buy a property with private money, you fix it with private money, and then you could refinance it either with a private lender that wants monthly fees at a low interest or with a bank. And then you can rent it. It's a cookie cutter. You could build an empire with just this one technique. How many lenders do you need? Just keep going with one, right? But what can it cost you if you can't close the deal because you can't get funding? The deal, right? I want to take a stark look at this. So let's dig down deeper. She's exactly right. We all see that right off the bat. Boom. It's going to cost us the deal. Might be the deal of the century for you. If it's your first deal for you beginners, it'll keep you up at night because you lost it. Okay? You get that far and you can't get it funded. So what else does it cost you? Sleep? Your reputation. You know, the reputation might be worse than the deal, right? Because that sticks. it costs you more. It costs you so much more. I want to back this up. Doesn't it cost you all your time and effort and money implementing all those techniques? Don't you have to buy the signs, buy the website, set the website up, manage the website, get the business cards, figure out whether you want the orange ones or the folded up $100 bill ones? It costs you a lot, right? Let's back it up even farther. Doesn't it cost you more because you've taken time to get the education to know what those techniques are, to go out and find the motivated sellers? And we got to find the motivated sellers. That's what it's all about. And those techniques all work. Use them all. But it costs your time and effort and money implementing. It costs your time, effort, and money learning. And it costs your reputation and the deal when the rubber meets the road. You see, you're in this room to learn how to do creative financing. But without money, you're dead in this business. If you're going to a bank, I just laid out too many things, and they all were ugly that you shouldn't be doing and going to a bank because they're all things that hurt you. And the same with a hard money lender. A lot of speakers use private money, and you will see other speakers out there that use private money, but they don't talk about it because they leave it up to me. And that's why we're here, okay, at this moment in time, okay? How many are curious about how I find people loan me millions? You want to see that? Let's get into it, all right? Here's the 3 steps. Number 1 is you got to generate leads. Generate leads. And I'm going to go into each one of these in detail. Number 2 is you give them some information, or you could have a luncheon. And I should tell you something, too. I'm not here to sell luncheons. I don't care if you do luncheons or one-on-ones. In fact, I've found 16 ways to locate private lenders. Luncheon's only one of them. And I'll tell you, there's another one that I'm going to show you today that's my favorite. Okay? It's not a luncheon. But luncheon's pretty cool, and I like talking about it because I got $1 million bucks, and it started me off. It gave me a kickstart, yes? Or number 3, they pass or play. Now, I got to tell you, I found my sword at my first luncheon on that one, but I fixed it my second luncheon, and I'll share with you exactly what I did so that you will be able to do exactly what I did. Like I said, I found 16 ways on generating leads to attract private lenders, and some of them are ads and postcards. What's the bottom say here in the yellow? Yeah. You cannot, you can advertise, but you can't advertise until you've filled out some paperwork. Everybody hear me? And the paperwork's very simple, all right? But you need to know that you got to fill out some paperwork. And sometimes pay a very small fee, like $50 or $100 or something like that. But don't run out of here and start advertising, okay? Until you know the ropes, until you know what you got to do and you do it. Then you can. Then you can advertise, go crazy. Here's a sample newspaper ad, headline, tired of low CD rates. And I put the date and the location, but I didn't put the time down. Why? Because I want the people to call me up. I want them to call me up. I've also got a postcard. I call it my Elizabeth postcards, which is about a widow that's struggling. And in this postcard, it's very compelling and invites her to get some free information from me. So, it's a great, great tool that I use. I don't take the calls. They either go into an answering machine or a live answering service, depending on what you got. I call the potentials back all at dinner time because most likely they're going to be home. And I make sure they got directions and if they're bringing somebody else. See, I'm buying lunch and I need to get a head count, right? And I don't want them to get lost there. And I want them to invite other people. So I ask them if they've got other people with money that they want to bring, and that way I can add to my group, yes? I tell it one time and they all get to hear it. So the first thing we do is you can, this is one way, generate with a postcard or ad. Like I said, I got 16 ways, but that's a couple. Invite to the luncheon and then get an answer. It's pretty simple, isn't it? 1, 2, 3. You're done. Invite, do a presentation, and in this case I'm talking about luncheon, but you could do a presentation at a restaurant. I got students doing it at McDonald's. If I go to McDonald's and get $1 million, wouldn't that be cool? 4 steps to a fundraising luncheon. Number 1, schedule it at a nice place. You want some place that doesn't have karaoke going on next door. How do I know that one? Been there, done that one. Yeah, you don't want karaoke going on. Send a postcard or run an ad. respond to their voicemail when they call in, and then hold the luncheon. It's pretty easy. It's pretty easy. You see, that's the roadmap that I didn't know that I had to create. And I know it seems simple when I'm up here talking about it, and it is simple, but there wasn't anybody else out there teaching that before me. Why do I like luncheons? They're quick and simple. I can leverage my time to talking to everybody at once. It's a more intimate setting, and then my conversion rate goes through the roof. Write this down. You want to talk first, eat second. Don't nuts that up. Talk first, eat second. I have them sitting in chairs like you're in right now, but no tables because we're only there for 30 minutes. And then I move them back to the back of the room where lunch is set up. And what will happen, and this is very important for you to understand, is they'll be sitting across from somebody that they want to carry on a conversation with, and they're looking for common ground on what they're going to talk about. And what will happen every single time is they will talk about your program. And they will convince each other that they should join your program, and the conversion rate goes through the roof. Everybody hear that? Now, I'm not up here to sell you on a luncheon. I'm just telling you what happens, okay? That's exactly what happens. You can do one-on-ones, and that's the way I started out, and you do it from time to time. So you can do a luncheon, you can do it one-on-ones, whatever way is your comfort zone. But if you do a luncheon, there's two reasons to do it. One is what I just explained, is the conversion rate is gigantic. Number two is you leverage your time. I talked to 18 people in the first luncheon in less than an hour, meal and all. Everybody got it? How long would it take me to talk to 18 people one-on-one? A long time, right? And say the same thing over and over again, okay? In my very first luncheon, I created a time-saving checklist. I am very organized, and I create checklists in my company. And you should too. You should have checklists. How do I buy? How do I sell? There's 30 steps to buying a property. You need to know what they are. You miss one, you create chaos in your business, so it's important to have a checklist. Same thing with my luncheon. I created a dynamic checklist. And I got on their location, advertising, reservations, handouts, everything that we need. The beauty of this, you got to understand, when I did this, it was just for me. I wasn't a teacher at that time. I had no intention of being a teacher. My whole goal was to do a luncheon, and at that time, I thought ended up doing a luncheon every month for the rest of my life. I didn't know I was going to get $1 million in 2 months. Okay, in my town, that's a lot of money. And so I got this money, and I didn't have to have luncheons for a while. Okay, but in doing that checklist, what has happened is that checklist has become a dynamic tool for my students all over the United States, Canada, Australia, and some foreign countries. Step 3. Step 1 is generate leads. Step 2 is to have a one-on-one meeting or just send information to them or do a luncheon. Step 3 is a pass or play. Now, in my first luncheon, I said to them, let's have lunch. When I got to the last slide, the problem with that is that they needed some direction from me, and I needed some feedback from them, and neither one of us got it. Neither one of us got it. So, what I did in the second luncheon is I had to come up with a better plan. So I said this, I want you to get into the folder and get into the left-hand pocket, and I want you to pull out this slide. And I'll be back here, and I'll collect them. Imagine now I want everybody to look at me. Everybody look at me back here. Imagine you're having your first luncheon, and they're filling that out, and they're walking toward you and handing it to you. You're standing where I'm at between them and the lunch. Everybody got it? Okay? All right. What's going to happen to you is you will have to peek. You'll be so compelled to see whether they loan money or not, you will not be able to help yourself. I'm telling you, that's exactly what will happen. And here's what you'll do. You'll take that form and you'll thumb through it and see how much they loaned you. How would you feel if you just had your first luncheon and they agreed to loan you $450,000? Would that work for you? Huh? I'll bet that'd be life-changing for some of you, wouldn't it? Yeah? Oh, on this slide, I had one show up in my mailbox a while back, and then I had brunch with Fred. Fred's one of my private lenders. He likes to get together and have coffee every now and then. And also, one of the things about, as a side note, is that private lenders get you some of the cool stuff. I now own 45 oil wells because of Fred. So, but this brunch he wanted to have me at, he had 3 guys he wanted me to introduce me to. I'm sitting next to Fred in the booth, and halfway through that brunch, the guy in the middle slides that form across the table to me. He wanted in. I didn't even know he had the form. Fred gave it to him. How many folks like to find a private lender like that? How many folks feel a system like this, you get up, speak to a small group of folks like I'm talking about? That work for you? Yeah, let's go the other way. How many feel uncomfortable standing up in front of 20 people because you're more afraid of public speaking? Hey, here's what happens. Start to raise your hand, take the other hand, push it down. Don't even want to raise a hand in a crowd. Hey, I've been there. I understand that. What do people say about speaking in front of groups? They're more afraid of speaking than dying, right? We all know that. What's that say about the local funeral? You'd rather be in the box and give the eulogy? No, the logical thing to do is do a one-on-one. Half my students do one-on-one and are very successful at it. During the loan process with a bank or hard money lender, you're waiting to be approved. Makes you feel like you're begging for money. Let me show you a better way. Let me talk about another private lender. Her name's Blanche. Remember I had these 2 luncheons. She came to the second one, and she had one of these yellow legal tablets. I assume there's some around this room. And, yeah, there's some. And so she had a bunch of writing on it. She started to ask me questions, and she asked me with question after question after question after question. And after a while, I thought she wasn't going to let me up. She was relentless. She hit me with all these questions, and I successfully answered them, but it just took forever. And I remember when she got done, we had lunch, and she walked out the door, and I thought, that lady doesn't have 2 nickels to rub together. Don't we prejudge people? I thought she just came for the free lunch and make my life tough today, Well, I'll be darned. She came back and loaned me $25,000 and then $35,000, $15,000, $45,000, $110,000. She's up to $230,000. How many would like to find a Blanche in your life? That's only part of the story. Now her sister loans me money. Her son loans me money. The only problem is she just bought a real estate course. She bought a property, got the course, loans me money, got a property, wanted to be one of us. I can stand, this is dead straight across the street from one of my rentals. I can stand on my porch and she can stand on her and we can wave at each other. Oh. Anyhow. I've learned a lot of lessons in this business. And if I was you, if I didn't write anything else down today, I'd write these 3 lessons down that I got right here. If you did not write anything else down, write these 3 down. Number 1, don't prejudge. I prejudged Blanche, didn't I? Don't prejudge. Your job after meeting me today is to tell everybody that you pay a high rate of return and let the chips fall where they may. Everybody got it? Why? Because some of your best lenders can come from people that you think are broke. How do I know that? It happens to me. Or if they are broke, they could introduce you to somebody that becomes your best lender. Because they know them. So after meeting me today, just tell people that you pay a high rate of return. Number 2 is they test you. She started me out at $25,000. She got me up to $230,000. Most of your private lenders, virtually all, will test you. How about if I give you a technique right now that will make you a lot of money if you use it? How many folks would like to learn a secret technique that would make you a lot of money? There. Even you guys. I can't believe it. All right. Here we go. If somebody comes to you and they say, I'm going to loan you $100,000, I immediately want you to say, if I find a deal worth $200,000, should I call you? I see light bulbs going on all over the room. Write that down. You'll forget it if you don't write it down. If I find a deal worth X, I always double it. If I find a deal worth X, should I call you? Now let me tell you about 2 examples of my students. I was out in L.A. getting ready to speak to 250 folks. And I was setting up, and a guy come down the aisle, and one of my students, well-dressed gentleman, got up there, and he says, Alan, I heard you were coming. He said, I couldn't wait to tell you, last night using your techniques, I got my first private lender. He said, and they agreed to loan me $750,000. Now, here's what happened. He goes like this. He goes, look, I know. He said, I forgot to up the ante. He was embarrassed. He got $750,000. He was embarrassed when he was telling me because he forgot to up the ante. What would it have hurt? What would it have hurt if he said, if I find a deal worth $1.5 million, should I call you? What happens if they say yes? Ching. Everybody got it? Yeah. Now, here's what happened at my boot camp. I got a live event, and a lady got at the mic, and she said, hey, I used your up the ante technique last night. A lady agreed to loan me $100,000. I upped the ante. She agreed to loan me $200,000. So I used it again. That's when I went like this. I never thought to do that. I thought once was enough. She said, by the time I got done, I got $900,000. From 100, is this technique gold? You love it? Yep, you came here to learn, right? Use it. And they become your best sales folks. Her sister and her son loan me money. One private lender brings me 2. 2 can bring me 4. Can you see how you can get so much money you can't spend it all? How many folks like to have so much money you can't spend? I had so much money I couldn't spend it all. I had to hire a guy to go spend it for me. Guy only bought 2 personal residences before, side-by-side double, lived in one half, finally got saved up a down payment, lives in a ranch house now. Came to work for me using my techniques, my system. I already had the money, my system on buying property. And from mid-September to Christmas, he bought 23 properties spending my private money. And then he bought another 69 in the next 8 months. Can you see the power of private money? In fact, what you could do, rather than me going out and buying property, what you could do is become a hard money lender. How many folks like to have 2 streams of income? I spoke to 450 folks in Phoenix that were all mortgage brokers. And they wanted my system so that they could go out and get their 5% on loans, find private lenders. Everybody got it? No reason why you can't do the same thing if you get licensed within your state. Now, imagine your private lenders bringing you more private lenders. Isn't that something? You guys ever had a bank bring you more banks? Blanche had her money on this house. I painted it blue, put a furnace in it. I sanded the floors. Blanche got paid back all of her principal and accrued interest. We're talking about Blanche and her yellow tablet. And I walked away with $34,747.19. How many folks in here could use an extra $34,747.19? That's after everything's paid. That's my check. And then she thanks me. I appreciate the opportunity to invest and earn above average interest. God bless Blanche. Is this a win-win-win-win? Listen to this. Your buyer wins, your seller wins, your private lender wins, and you win. Isn't that the kind of world you want to live in? How would you like to have your private lenders write you thank you notes? Your posture is some will, some won't, so what? Someone's waiting. Some will. I want to get this in your head. In fact, I like this so much I want to practice. All right, can you guys and gals follow along? Yep. All right, here we go. Come, join in. Some will, some won't, so what? Someone's waiting. Let's do it again. Some will, some won't, so what? Someone's waiting. I don't want you to beg. I don't want you to plead. I don't want you to ask twice. I want you to get out after meeting me and telling people you pay a high rate of return and let the chips fall where they may, and I want you to move on. Move on. Someone is waiting. Move on. Basic rules: lenders don't approve my purchases. High dollar lenders do not get a higher rate, and second mortgages do not get a higher rate. You're borrowing money to buy a property. You're putting a mortgage on the property, and when it sells, you're paying back the money with interest. Keep it simple. You're not selling shares or anything like that. The best benefit is you can do more deals and more profitable deals using private money. How many like to do deals and never talk to a bank? Yes. Never, ever. Wouldn't that be great? I need a battery in this clicker. A lot of my lenders have IRA and triple your return. You can't lend to yourself, parent, or your brother and sister. So you can loan up and down the family chain. You can't loan up and down. Cannot. You can't loan to your parent, yourself, okay? Or or a child, but you can, brother and sister. Everybody got that with IRA money? Now, I'm only talking IRA. With my mom and her CD, that was just her money on a bank CD. It wasn't an IRA. Everybody got that? So she could loan me that money, okay? And you can also loan your own money out. You're creating your own private bank. Here's what the Wall Street Journal said. Said, through a little-known tool known as a self-directed individual retirement account, individuals can pursue a wide variety of investments from real estate to businesses. Now at least several thousand people are trying to goose their retirement savings by using self-directed IRAs. Okay? I've been telling real estate investors that for years, and here the Wall Street Journal is coming out with that. Some people will not be able to make the luncheon, yes or yes? All right? What I wanted to do was I wanted to get a audio CD that into their hands. And I just didn't want to flip them a CD. I wanted to put it in a nice case. In fact, I brought one here. I can show you. This here is my favorite way to find lenders. How many folks just like to hand out a CD and have money show up? Would that work for you? What I did was I created this. Thank you very much. I created this audio. I call it an audio business card. It's got a little information on the back, and let me show you what I do with this. Inside this, I can put a business card, the CD obviously, and then I got a little pocket here where I can put some information. Let me take this information out and tell you what I decided to put in here. Number one is I had 4 pieces of paper I wanted to get to these folks. But I didn't want to put each page in there, 8 or 4 pages, because of bulk. So I shrank them. Everybody see that? This is a thank you. This is what secures their loan. There's a promissory note. I thought it'd be a good idea to show them the promissory note. My promissory note's neutral. It's not weighted toward them or me. It's just a very easy, simple promissory note. And then this is a trigger. This is 8% return with different amounts and how much money they could make on those. Now, do you think if somebody's getting a 0.026% on a bank CD and they get a bank statement and they look at this, that would be enough to have them loan you money? You're darn right. You're darn right. And then in every one, I put in this interest form. Remember the interest form that I stand back in the back of the room over there, what I have for luncheon? I do it here too, right? Why? Because this is a trigger mechanism for them to get back with you. Okay? Very simple form, but very useful and very powerful. And then the local paper in Springfield, Ohio, has interviewed me 4 times. This came out as a feature article on Memorial Day on the business section. It was a front page article in the business section about the We Buy Houses folks. And back here I'm talking about private money. And here's a picture of me and a house buyer. And then you see this white space over here? Well, my competitor was also in this article. And I couldn't take looking at him. And so I took a pair of scissors and I cut this out. You had your hand up. I took a pair of scissors and cut that sucker out. What do you think? All right? First one of those I handed out, I got $27,000 back from the first lender, which happened to be on a certain house. So use it well. Use it well. How many folks like hand out CDs and just have money show up? Does that work? Yeah? How many like the ability to make offers with confidence because you got money? You know, one of the things that I get from my students, the most powerful thing is they all say that my system gives them the confidence to go make offers. What I hear back consistently from my students is my system gives people the confidence to go do deals because they got the money to go fund the deals. That's your Achilles heel. Whether you're a beginner or seasoned investor, how many think acquiring private lenders could help your business? Hey, I even got some out of this line over here. Okay, cool. Can you imagine the wealth building you seasoned investors have lost over the years because you failed to get private lenders? And let me ask you a question. How many more deals are you folks going to do and let slip through your fingers and lose altogether because you failed to get private lenders after meeting me today? I hope none. You know there's only 4 parts of a real estate deal. Number 1 is you got to find the property. You're looking for a motivated seller, yes? Number 2 is you got to do what we're talking about right now is you got to fund it. Number 3 is you fix it. You either sell it or keep it for long term. That's your 4 items at the top of this business, at the very pinnacle of this business. And the beauty of what I'm teaching is it solves that second problem. It solves that second item. It solves the funding piece. In fact, if you can't get by this second item, you're dead in this business. You're dead. And if you think you're going to go out of here and fool around with the bank You might be able to do that and get some deals, but you don't know when they're going to cut you off. How do I know that one? It's happened to me. And there's so many hoops you got to jump through that you don't have to jump through with private lenders. You get to set the rules. And hard money lenders, they're just expensive. They just cost you a lot of money. Or if you're doing a wholesale deal and you don't have the safety net I talked about. Or if you're doing creative financing, the seller wants walk-in money, like that one did, $39,000, and you don't have it. You're dead in this business. And if you're a beginner, like most of you are, you go out to your first real estate seminar, maybe this is it, and the next thing you do, you go out and you make offers. But then you're paralyzed because you don't know how to fund the deal, or it looks like a great deal, and the seller wants cash. Well, after my talk, you should know how to fund the deal. In fact, everybody here needs to tell their private lenders that you're looking for folks that want to get in on the ground floor. You ought to write that down. Want to get in on the ground floor. It sounds like this thing is going away. Sounds like it's going away. Here's some benefits of having private lenders. Put together a list for you. Unlimited funds. Unlimited funds. Speed to buy. Just like I told you, I had a call on Monday. I owned the property on a Friday. You got cash flow. There's no you got your contingency money you're taking out, and there's no monthly payments if you so desire, and you make the rules. There are no credit checks from private lenders. It saves you money. You make more money. It's flexible. I structured mine to where I pay on the 15th because tenants pay late and they pay on the 1st. And you do deals you couldn't do any other way. You get some of your profit when you buy. It's cheaper than having a partner. I had a couple partners. My partnerships were like newborn puppies when they started out. And they grew into ugly dogs, I'll tell you, both of them. Both of them. You find the purchase of defaulted paper. That's a whole other business if you so desire. If you want to do that. And you can buy property at a steep discount because cash is king. And you can have two streams of income if you decide to become a hard money lender. Using private lenders is the best because it puts you in control. I shouldn't have to go any farther. If that is the only thing that private lending does for you and your business, isn't that enough? Listen to this. You are not in control if you don't use private lenders because you will be begging for money at banks, out of control. You'll be begging for money at hard money lenders. You'll be out of control. You'll be doing creative financing. You won't be able to fund the deals. Or if you're doing wholesale deals, you won't have a safety net. You will not be in control. It's the easiest because it's not a lot of work. Finding private lenders is not a lot of work. It's easier than what many of you are doing trying to find funding for your deals. It's the cheapest because the most expensive funding you will ever have is the day you get to closing and can't close. We talked about reputation. We talked about the cost of losing the deal. Yes? If you're fooling around with anybody else. I was up, where's I at? I was up in Minnesota. I was up there for a workshop, and a gentleman come over, and he had to sit next to me at lunch break. And he sat down next to me. He said, I had a bank. I'm lined up to do the deal. I was supposed to close today. They said they weren't going to loan me money. What do you do the day before you're getting ready to close? They say no. With a private lender, it's not a problem. You just call up another private. If I call him up and I got all his money, I just call him up. If I got all his money, I just call him up and I use his money. Everybody got it? And they're all anxious to loan money. Okay? It's the safest because you borrow extra. That's that contingency money so you don't run out of cash. Best, easiest, cheapest, and safest. There's no other funding source that can match all four, and that's the bottom line, and that's what you're looking for. You can't match that with a bank or a hard money lender. And private lender concept is revolutionizing our business. Some of you thinking, hey, I can just go ask Uncle Joe to be my lender. Well, let's talk about that for a second. I want you to be prepared. I don't want you to jump off this and damage your relationship. Why risk getting caught off guard with questions you can't answer? Let's say you go to Uncle Joe or Aunt Mary, whoever it is, and they ask you questions and you can't answer the questions and they say no. It's hard to go back to them a second time. I want you to nail it coming out of the chute. Without the right approach, you could be dismissed as a fly-by-night. Notes and memory, they're not enough. You need a system. I'm a note taker. I encourage you to take a couple notes as we went through this, and we forget half what we heard in 24 hours. So you need a full-blown system to get you where you need to go. It's the exact system that Troy Wilkinson and others have used to amass millions. Remember I talked about Troy earlier on? And gave Robert Anderson the wisdom to do the deal of the century. It's a very simple and easy use system. I want to introduce you to my millionaire system. There's 3 simple steps. Number 1,
is how to attract and convert people into private money lenders. Number 2 is how do you manage lenders. It's very easy. I don't want you to miss a step, but it's very, very easy. And then education, how to be in compliance on this. Now I'm going to show you all 3 steps right now. First step, it's my premium system, how to attract and convert folks. I give you a powerful web-based forms with autofill. I've got 24 great forms that will be auto-filled for you. It has my $1 million presentation, 2 luncheons, $1 million bucks. In fact, I got some students doing better. You go to a template, you fill out the template, you hit the enter button, and all the information in less than 10 minutes is filled out for you, and you're ready to go find private lenders. It's got all your advertising done. It's got complete scripts. Don't overlook scripts, because one of the hardest things you might have is, what do I say to a lender? Let me keep you safe on that. And then that special report for lenders, and all the work is done for you. You got your complete private lender presentation done in 10 minutes with an autofill feature out there. You can explode your money supply with these 4 surefire marketing tools, ultramagnetic ads for you to raise millions of dollars, trifold brochure to establish credibility, and a phone script to excite and reassure prospective lenders. Software and speed to automation. You get my proprietary forms I just talked about, and you get the forms for your state. I had my attorney gather the forms for your state. I'll show you where they're at in just a second. And all the audios are now digital. Now, this is where you go after step 1. You've got the template, you fill it out, you hit the enter button, and you go up there to that first one where it says all documents less state forms. That's my 24 filled in documents for you. Bang, you got that, you're off to the races. The next one is the attorney form, and then all the audios are digital now for you, and then the wealth management system that I talked about, download on that. Imagine having key forms done for you in 10 minutes. I want you to start here. What you're going to get in front pocket of the premium system is that thumb drive, which will be inside that red envelope. Start there, because it's got all your audios right there. And inside the front cover, you've got this QR symbol. You do that with your phone and you get video, a quick start training video. And if you don't have that on your phone, no problem. I also put a website link right below that, so you can just put that in your computer and you can get the same video. Learning library, you get 8 audios with the first system. And so you can play them on your phone, your tablet, whatever you want. You'll be able to answer the toughest lender questions with confidence. You know the right way to position yourself to overcome lender skepticism and win their trust, which is what you want to do. I'll give you a quick start manual and an audio. Remember, I've already got the quick start video. Now you got a manual and an audio too. Why would I do that? I'm running, hit the ground running. It gives you insights of what to do behind the scenes, some advertising secrets I can share with you, and key questions. Audio business card that I talked about earlier. You get that. You get the audio on that thumb drive and in the digital downloads, and you have the radio talk shows. You just hand this out like water. Let me tell you, this is my flat favorite way. I know I made $1 million bucks in those 2 lunches. This is my favorite way, though. You just hand it out. It sells people on private lending for you, and they come to you. And then credibility kit. I give you mine digitally so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You get to see everything. The page on me, a page on the company, the certificates. It's awesome. Gil Mack, one of my students, calls himself the millionaire in the making. He says, however, yours is specific and complete and just goes step by step, just the way us reptile brains need it. So not only am I going to do a luncheon, I'm training a staff member to do it as well. Thanks for the confidence boost and the tools to work with. The word confidence there is a theme from my students, because my material is so easy and yet so powerful. It gives them the confidence to go out and move forward with this. Tony Braddock, another great student. He said, I've raised private money from one-on-ones. Now Gil was doing luncheons. Tony's doing one-on-ones. That's about the split of my student base. Half do one, half do the other. He said, I quit my Fortune 500 6-figure income job and 70-hour work week. I purchased a 75-foot yacht, and it's truly been awesome and changed my life forever. He's living the dream, isn't he? Okay, step 2 is my wealth management system. How to manage listeners. First part is how to attract and convert. The second part is how to manage them. It was born out of necessity. The wealth management system was developed because of success. My students are having acquiring private lenders, and they had to play the role of a bank. So I became a recluse for 2 months and put this system together for them. Here's a few questions I was getting. What documents does the lender get? How do I handle IRA money? What closing costs are involved? It goes on and on, but this program answers them all in a very simple, straightforward, and systematic manner. Here's what you get. You get the manual, the essential guide to managing private money manual. There are 6 audios. Remember, there's 8 in the first system, now 6. They can handle the private lending process with ease. And it gives you IRA information, including key documents, forms, and reports. Some of what you'll be able to achieve is prevent disputes with your lenders. Listen, I've had private lenders for over 2 decades. I have never, ever had one dispute. They love me. They don't, there's no disputes. I put all that type of information in this system so you will not have disputes. You just follow my path. The right time and way to get money from your lenders, how to streamline lender maintenance activities so you don't eat up all your time and keep it a positive cash flow. Correctly close escrow so you can get their money working again, and the ins and outs of setting up and using IRAs for the benefit of the lender. Both systems have been newly updated. And step 3, 8 attorney-created audios. Gives you the compliance information for real estate investors. So you got, 8? You got 22 audios so far. And of this, on the first audio, there are 12 must-know items. Now, the thing about it is, on this attorney stuff, it's easy. It's not hard. There's nobody else out in the world actually teaching this at my level. And so it's very simple. The thing of it is, I wanted to make sure that you knew what they were. What would you have to pay to have all the money that you need? Well, let's say your time's worth $50 an hour, and you go out and you try to learn things outside of what I'm teaching. And let's say you spend 80 hours on that. That's $4,000 of your time. And then you got to go put together a presentation. I got 100 hours on that. That's 5,000. You're saying, my gosh, why 100? It's because I got over 100 in the presentation. I wanted to make sure the slides flowed and the words came in when they were supposed to, and I knocked it out of the park. And you got to remember, I was $10,000 negative every single month. I had to nail it, and I did. And then I tested. Well, mine's if you want to test yours, let's say 20 hours test, that's $1,000 your time. Mine's tested throughout the United States, Canada, Australia, and some other foreign countries. And then SEC knowledge. Well, this is where you'd stroke a check for an attorney, and I put a very low price down there, $200 hourly wage for an attorney. That adds up to $14,000. I've seen some folks have live events for $10,000 years ago, and who do you think they had come in as a keynote speaker? The real world value for my 3 systems that you just saw, a la carte of the millionaire system, the 3 systems that make up the millionaire system, is $2,391. That's what they add up to individually. Can you learn all the ins and outs in those 80 hours? You don't have a prayer. Where are you going to go? Jump out on the internet and you get junk information? See, what I did was I created a laser beam approach for you. Very simple, what I wish I would have had when I got started, of how to attract and convert people into private money lenders. And why would you want to get out there and do it on your own? I've got it all here for you. It's $997 for all 3 systems, for the millionaire systems. I'll tell you what, it's a steal at $997. You know, you're going to make your money back many times over on your first closing. Just the cost of the closing, the $997, because cash is the cheapest way in closing costs. I'm going to give you a hotline certificate too. This is where you get my personal email, work with you for 90 days, personal help. Now that 90 days starts when you want it to. It doesn't start as soon as you get the system. You trigger it. You have full control. I don't care if it's 6 months or a year from now. Whenever you're ready, I'm there for you. Let me tell you about Ted. He said I got my first lender after we talked on the phone. He got the system, and he got that certificate, and he sent me an email. Put his phone number down. I called him up. I said, how can I help you? He says, I don't know what to say to this guy. I said, you already got it. It's in the premium system. He said, yeah, I know, but I don't have time to look, man. We're leaving here in 15 minutes. Can you tell me? I said, yeah. I gave him the exact script that's in the premium. He sent it to the guy on the way to the airport, got $500,000, and Ted was able to become a full-time real estate investor. He's out doing apartment complexes. You get answers that take you years to learn on your own, and you'll be able to move fast because I'm in your corner. And access to me is restricted. If you want to work with me, then you need to get this certificate. Now, it's limited. It's limited to the first 27 folks. Why would I do that? Well, there's a lot of you and one of me, and family like to see me every now and then. So first 27 folks get me. How do you know you're going to get it? Well, it will be in the system when you get it. Super bonus number 2 is free upgrades for life. So if there's any changes in the system, you get a free upgrade. That's my life. So that's bonus number 2. And bonus number 3 is a hot list of private lenders. This is a sample page there. This is the template. Go out there and hit that button up on the top left and search and sort. I would look for lenders in your backyard. They're all over the United States in this thing. There's thousands and thousands of people that have just loaned money. We scrape the whole United States every month and put it into this This right here. You can save them and you can mail to them. You can see that. I put some compliance information out there. Everything you need to get private money is in the millionaire system I just talked about. I don't leave any stone unturned. Just imagine having the money to do what you want, go where you want, and get what you want. Isn't that what you want in your life? You know, if you're into real estate and you're going to a bank, a hard money lender, they can shut you down at any time. The economy changes, you get tossed out, and you have no control. But with private lenders, if the economy goes down, they're begging you to take the money because they can't get a high rate of return, and you're it. And you're it. You know, if all this did was make your business profitable or more profitable and give you a gentle kick in the butt to get you moving, enable you to do your first real estate deal if you haven't done a deal, or give you access to millions of dollars just a phone call away, which is what it's all about, would it be worth it? Oh, yeah. No question about it. The real question is it worth a gamble, a few minutes of your time to check it out? If it does even half what I claimed today, will it pay for itself? It will, and it will pay for itself many, many, many times over on the first deal. And you got this for a lifetime. I'll tell you what, I was in St. Louis here, and I had a guy come up at the end of my talk. He says, I bought 77 properties, all with your system, and you changed my life. Thank you very, very much. Look, you got 7 days after you get the system delivered to check it out. And if it's not thrilled, within 24 hours, you get your money back. It's that simple. You get a prompt and courteous refund. So once you receive the system, then you got 7 days. And if you decide it's not for you, just return it. Why would I do 7 days? I want you to take action. I don't want you to be a fence setter. I want you to make a difference in your life. I'm here to make a difference in your life. And I've created the best, easiest, cheapest, and safest way to do that. My system is very simple and very easy to follow and very easy to implement. Ironclad money back guarantee is even if you do return it, you get to keep all the bonuses. Keep all the bonuses. All the risk is on me. You got two options. One is you can do it yourself. That's the worst choice. That's the worst choice. You will be blown away by the incredible, wonderful information that I've got in the system. The other thing is take action. That's what I do. Take action. Embrace my system. The opportunity is right here, right now. The future is waiting. So what kind of action are you going to take? Get started now. It's only $9.97. Take action. Do it now. You got a tremendous discount. They're $2,391 on my website. Take advantage of this to your wealth.